Today, I'm going to show you my 5 favorite lavaliere microphone mounts.
Hey up, hey up, hey up. Hey up, hey up, hey up.
First up is the Bumblebee Lav Concealer. I like this one because if the talent is wearing a button-up shirt, I can usually hide this mic between the shirt and the placket. And depending on the shirt and what camera is going to see, I will try to use the built-in clips to attach the mic to the shirt. And this little sort of half circle of metal here helps to kind of keep the shirt from rubbing the mic capsule.
So I'm going to send my lav bullet down through the shirt here so it falls right to the floor. And sometimes I have to unbutton a button on the top of the shirt to get to it. It's got these clips on the back that allow me to attach it to the shirt, like so. And often I'll also use a bit of this soft tape here to tape the cable on the back of the placket so it's not making noise, and then button them up. Good to go.
Sometimes it might still rub, in which I choose to add a little top stick to the top of the mic and attach that right to the shirt to keep it from moving around.
In other cases, if I'm not going to use the clips, I can use some of the Bumblebee stickies. I can get that on the back of the lav mount, tape it down. In this case, I'm going to be situating it more like so, so that this metal riser keeps a little bit of distance between the mic capsule and the clothing, just like that. In other situations, if I feel like I'm worried that there's going to be a lot of rubbing going on, I might put a piece of top stick here on the top of the concealer. For me, there we go. And then that way I can get it to stick like so and not move around on me.
The drawback of this mount is that if you use the double-sided tape and stick it to the inside of a shirt, this square shape can appear, and that's not going to look very good.
All right, so this kind of shirt could potentially be problematic because it's kind of a thinner. If the talent won't wear it on their skin and I need to go to the shirt, if I were to use this kind of mount, it could potentially put a square shape here, which could be bad. So let's just test it and see. So if I were to send a concealer in there, so you can see that it's such a thin fabric, it creates this kind of funny square shape, which wouldn't be good. You'd see that on camera.
Sometimes you can hide that behind a t-shirt logo.
All right, and this kind of t-shirt, it's got this kind of plasticky ink on it. So this could be a good, if the talent can't have it on their skin and I gotta go to the clothing. So I'm gonna send my lav bullet down through, let it drop to the floor, and I'm gonna use this mount, and I'm going to try to get this taped on the inside under this ink here, like so, and then it's hidden pretty well under there.
But in some real thin fabrics, I'd avoid going to the shirt, and I push to get this sort of thing right on the skin. It's just going to sound better anyhow. Next up is the Ursa Mini mount, and I like to use the Viviana pads with this to adhere this mic. I use this one when I'm faced with people who don't have well-developed pecs and they have a t-shirt on. In most cases, I would normally try to go to the skin between the pecs, but if I'm faced with the lack of pecs, I then use this mount right on the seam of the t-shirt, and I try to run the wire then down the back of the shirt, and I make sure to keep the mic a bit off center over their collarbone, because if it's right over their trachea, it can produce a sort of strange guttural sound from the throat. I try to avoid that.
All right, so because of how thin this garment is, talent doesn't want to wear the mic on their skin. I could consider going with like an Ursa strap around their chest. I've had some talent that say they don't want to wear a strap. So it starts to leave you with less options, right? So maybe I would try to get my Ursa Mini mount with a Viviana pad right under the seam of the shirt here. It's going to be tricky because there could be a little bit of a bulge that will happen, but we'll run this cable down the back of the shirt here. And then we're going to find the best spot under this shirt. You got to make sure that it doesn't go right under the trachea, or else it'll be kind of gutturally sounding. So finding a spot kind of under the seam of the shirt. And then from there, I'm going to add some tape to tape it down. Some Ursa soft tape here. And I would probably have quite a bit of tape, and I'd run quite a bit of tape along this seam. So with a little finessing, you can get it to be at least invisible to camera. You know, if you're running into an issue where, like on this guy, he's pretty trim, so the shirt fits pretty tight to him. So then you end up getting like a little bit of bump in there. And if you just can't get it right, that would be the point at which you would try to get them to change their shirt to something different, something maybe a little bit more flowy or a button up. So, you know, when in doubt, talk to the producer, talk to costume, and see if you can get them in a different shirt, if that's a possibility.
This mic is nice for situations when the fabric will smoothly travel silently over the plastic, but in some scenarios, the fact that the mic capsule kind of sticks out here, there's not a whole lot of like air space between the capsule tip and the clothing, the rustle can start to become problematic. Therefore, my bonus tip is I get a pair of pliers with wire cutters on them, and I get a paper clip, and I cut off the tip and I bend it, and I super glue that paper clip right to the Ursa mini mount itself. It'd be nice at some point if they update this and put in some little buffers like this. The trick is you have to have a garment that has enough space and flow so that the bump that's going to come from using this little protector here isn't going to be super noticeable. Third up is the Viviana Beetle with the bra clip. Okay, now this one has really been useful in times when I need to get this on somebody who's wearing a bra. And it's got this clip here and it'll hold the mic in the Beetle, which is nice. And the Beetle itself has its own Viviana adhesive, which is cool. But in times I need to get this on a bra, I actually keep a photo on my phone, and I can often talk to the person and say, this is what I want it to look like in there. And ideally, I'm looking to get this clip kind of on the outside of the bra, so it'd be like this. And the reason why is because if it's flipped around and this clip sits here going towards the chest, then you're gonna run into clothing rustle issues. But if I can flip it around and I can get that mic in that space between the breasts where it's basically between the bra clasp center post area and their skin, it creates this sort of cavity of air that's nice and open, and you can hear the sound much better. And then from there, I can usually talk to them about leaving a little slack with the cable and tucking some of that cable up under the edge of the bra itself on the side, and then running it down to the transmitter. So if you're liking this video so far, please hit the subscribe button down there. Be awesome to see my channel grow. My next two are my favorite. Fourth in the series is one I picked up from another sound mixer who was in an Ursa video here on YouTube. While it's not perfect for every situation, I have had a lot of luck with it, especially in scenarios where I'm outside and I might run into wind. And it has to do with using this Ursa undercover. And it might be an overcover, undercover. Really, it's a circle of double-sided sticky, okay? And what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to use, in this scenario, ideal with a DPA mic, because you can take the capsule off of the top of the mic and you can then place this microphone. I would essentially remove the tape like so, and I can put the microphone down on the double stick. I can take a piece of top stick and run that over this microphone to help adhere it further. And then I can take the fur and lay it over the top, and then I can pull the backing and put this on the inside of somebody's shirt. Works really well. This is the sticky circle rig. So this could work pretty well on an outfit like this, where, you know, if you know, my options on this could be I could maybe try to get a Ursa mini mount in here, but if I can get it into the center of the chest, that's going to be ideal. So I'm going to run this. Say we're going to be outside on a more windy day. The back side of the sticky circle is going to provide some wind protection, and then the fur itself is going to provide a little bit of buffer between the undergarment and the outer shirt of which it's going to be attached to.
So often the trick with these sticky circles is they are so sticky that it can be tricky getting the backing off. So you got to kind of manipulate it a bit. There we go. That allows me to get the sticky circle on the inside of the shirt, like so. And then run the rest of the cable to the transmitter.
Number 5, one of my favorite troubleshooters is when you have a person with a very hairy chest, right? And they're wearing a t-shirt or maybe some other thin shirt and they have pecs. I'm really gonna try to go for getting the mic between their pecs onto their skin. That's gonna produce the most open sound and it's gonna be best for hiding the mic and you're gonna get the least amount of clothing rustle I have found. However, they lifted their shirt and there was a forest under there. So I usually discuss the technique with them to try to get them on board. And what it entails is I'm gonna swab their chest, that area of furry chest right between the pecs with an alcohol swab to get rid of any oils that are on there. And waft it a little bit to try to get that dried quickly, 10, 20 seconds at most. And then I hit him with this Mepitac. And this is a special type of medical tape. From what I've read, they use it on folks who have burns that also have lacerations. And it's nice because it doesn't hurt when you remove it from hair. And so after I've hit him with the alcohol swab, I'll put a piece of this right on their hairy chest. I try to sometimes even kind of push the hair off to the side, try to get as much of the adhesive of this onto the skin as I can so it'll last there. From there, I can take my lav mount of choice, whatever that may be, and attach it to the tape itself, and then I'll run a little transport over the top of the mount itself for a little extra just holding it on there, holding it to the Mepitac. And then from there, I'll run the cable down, give it a little slack, and tape it to their skin, kind of like this. So in a situation where I can get it on their skin, I'm stoked because it's usually going to sound a lot better than trying to get it on clothing. But if I ask this particular talent to lift his shirt, go ahead. We see that he's got the forest going on here. So I usually explain to them at this point what I'm going to do and that it's not going to hurt and things like that. So the first step is I'm going to wash with this alcohol swab to kind of get as many of just the oils, natural oils off. And then waft it dry. And then this is the Mepitac tape. And we're going to get that on there, right in the center of the chest. Press it down nicely. And then from there, you can use your lav mount of choice. So I'm going to use this Ursa mount. Get that right on there. From here, I'm going to use a little bit of transport to give a little extra adherence there. And I'm going to run some stress relief along the side. And again, maybe another one if I'm worried about movement. Go ahead, you can let it down. There you go. So in a scenario like this where then you have, let's say, a little bit of the wire showing up, you might have to manipulate a bit of the wire over, tape it down in another spot. So there might be some finagling of the wire to get it to be as invisible as possible. Again, these synthetic shirts, typically super noisy. So anytime you can talk to costume or the producer and get them to change into something else other than this is ideal. But if you're faced with something like this, you can see just how tight this is to his collar up here. There's no way I'd be able to get my Ursa mini mount up in there. So I'd have to go to the skin or a chest strap would be the other option here. And I've found that that works really well. And I have attached that to some really furry talent and it holds all day. So thank you for watching. I hope some of this information was helpful out there to somebody. And if you like the content, please hit the subscribe, hit the like, helps the channel grow. Have a great week. See you soon.